injured quarterback, a sorry owner, and a pretty questionable head coach. What isn't wrong with the Dallas Cowboys? Today we're going to be diving into the Dallas Cowboys with how their season has gone so far, how their season should look the rest of the way, because you probably don't get enough Dallas Cowboys on your TV, on your screen. So we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. It's just going down the drain. It's going down the drain, and I think that this is a big case of a team refusing to dive into a rebuild, but also because they never really needed to be fair. They never really had to. If we think back to 2020 even, that was another big injured year for Dallas. And they really did well in the draft, picking especially, Deron Bland out there. So this is a very talented team. Let's get things straight. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of talent, and they really should be contenders year after year. But they just don't. And it's from a refusal from the owner, of course, Jerry Jones, not doing anything in the offseason. It's kind of become a run-on meme at this point that Jerry Jones is pretty much going to be pretty stagnant come the offseason, come the trade deadline. And we saw it the same year, the same thing this year. In the offseason, I guess they weren't super quiet. He brought back Jordan Lewis and Chuma Edoga and drafted offensive tackle Tyler Guyton, who's had his ups and downs. I wasn't the biggest fan of him coming out of the draft, but I guess the Cowboys had a different thought. But frankly, let's be real. You throw me in that front office and it wouldn't make much of a difference, to be honest. Tyler Guyton had his ups and downs. They signed Eric Kendricks, stole him from the 49ers. Great job, guys. Great job picking up the 32-year-old linebacker who gets picked on almost week by week. And then you miss out on Derrick Henry, though, right? Because he was too expensive. The 1,000-yard rusher, the guy who is on one of the better teams in the entire NFL, who's going to be potentially contending for a Super Bowl. No. But you didn't want it because he was too out of your price range because you were too busy paying Dak and everybody else you had. Too busy misdoing these contracts. Just I don't even know what Jerry Jones is. What goes on in that head of Jerry Jones? It might just be cobwebs at this point. Let's be real. So he missed out on Derrick Henry because he's too expensive. And then at the trade deadline, let's fast forward to just last week, you trade for young receiver Jonathan Mingo. Oh, okay. You're getting a serious wide receiver 2 candidate. Let's see. What did you give up for this receiver who hasn't really shown much promise? Yes, he's young, but he hasn't had much production. Maybe a 7th round pick or so. Oh, a 4th round pick. Those late round picks, the 3rd and the 4th round picks. That's where we see a lot of these good teams really build. Okay, the 1st and the 2nd round picks, sure. You kind of expect those to be good, but what separates the great from the good, the 49ers, the Rams, the Chiefs, heck, even you can throw in the Ravens in there. Those guys hit on those 3rd and those 4th round picks, those 5th even. The Dallas Cowboys are just throwing those in the toilet. They gave up a 4th round pick for Jonathan Mingo. Absolutely insane. I get you want a real receiver 2 outside of CeeDee Lamb, but I don't even think Mingo is that guy. He's more that gadgety type of receiver who you can kind of move around and put him on those end arounds and stuff. Similar to Debo, so he's not going to be that vertical threat outside of CeeDee Lamb. So bad move by the Dallas Cowboys, which is a trend for this team. But let's talk about the actual roster, okay? All that talent that I just talked about. Okay, Dak Prescott, your $40+ million quarterback. Well, actually, he might be $50 million. But the point is, he's an expensive quarterback. Oh, he's out for the season. He was a hamstring injury. Real unfortunate. Dak is a great guy. He is no issue with this team. It's very unfortunate what happened to him. He's on IR. He's out for the rest of the season. We're looking at Cooper Rush or Trey Lance for the rest of the season, which we'll get into in just a second. Deron Bland, the breakout cornerback just a couple years ago, he's out. He's hurt. He is coming back soon, but he was dealing with some injuries for this first half of the season. Micah Parsons, he was hurt. He just made his debut against the Philadelphia Eagles. We all saw how that went. Absolutely horrible. And then DeMarcus Lawrence has been on IR. Goodness gracious, this poor team. Just battling injuries after injuries on these star guys. But even still, this team has the talent that I believe that you could be able to compete. Of course, you've got CeeDee Lamb, who is a top 5 receiver in the entire NFL. You've got Jake Ferguson, who you can argue he's a reliable tight end. He's not bad. He's a reliable tight end. He's not going to hurt your team in any instance. You've got Trayvon Diggs, who's still, always been a very solid cornerback. You know, when he had that 1 year where he was getting interception pretty much every week, it felt like, and people were saying, well, he gives up so many yards. Well, you're still getting picks, you're still creating opportunities for your offense. Of course, you've got Zach Martin, who he's getting a little older. And then Brandon Audrey, who's maybe the most loved Cowboy on this entire roster. Everybody loves Brandon Audrey. Everybody loves a good kicker who can boot it from, 60 yards, it seems like, and no problem. But the problem is, of course, poor coaching. I don't think Mike McCarthy has improved whatsoever. With all this talent, he's still struggling. He still can't finish games. He still can't beat tough opponents. The poor stadium. I mean, this stadium, yes, Jerry's World, $1 billion stadium. You've got the sun flashing in your receiver's eyes. They can't catch a contested football heading in a certain way. You saw it with CeeDee Lamb just last game. I don't know what we're thinking. I don't know why we haven't put the curtains up. I say we. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but you know what I mean. And then, of course, the poor owner, Jerry Jones, which I just touched on. Everything wrong with what he's doing. Just being conservative with his money for no reason. You've got a talented team. You've got some free agents out there that want to come to Dallas. Okay, a lot of these guys grew up in Texas. They want to play with their childhood team or their hometown team, whatever. And Jerry Jones holds them back by keeping the pocketbook. He's not writing these blank checks out to these people. Derrick Henry absolutely deserves to be a Dallas Cowboy. This team should be a team that is contending. It's just not. So what now? After all these injuries, after all these missed signings, what now? What are we looking at? Well, now we're looking at a potentially new coach. Mike McCarthy may be on his way out. We may have to look into a new head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And who could that potentially be? Bill Belichick took a year off of coaching, and he apparently is buddies with Jerry Jones. Could we see Bill Belichick in Dallas? I think that it's not out of the equation. I think you can demote Mike McCarthy and he can still stay on the team, and you can bring in Bill Belichick to be the head coach and keep Mike Zimmer even on the defense. There was rumors of Deion Sanders. I believe he's the leading betting odds for the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, which I think would just make this the cherry on top of the joke of a franchise. Of course, the former player coming back, coaching Colorado and stuff, Deion Sanders really might trade up in the draft to draft Shedeur Sanders. He might even make Travis Hunter possible in Dallas. So I think that Sanders is a little bit of a stretch, but it's not the most out of the world thing. It's not totally out of the equation. It wouldn't be the craziest thing we've seen Jerry Jones do to this team. Let's be real. Hey, maybe they call Mike Zimmer up. Maybe he gets a promotion. I doubt it, but hey, you never know. Is it potentially a new quarterback? No, you can't really get rid of Dak because you just paid him. You can't really get rid of him for a while now. You're kind of locked into that. But hey, if Deion Sanders is the head coach, he might eat that cap penalty just so his boy can be the leading quarterback of this team. So now, okay, yes, you've got Diggs locked in. You got that contract working. You've got Dak and CD locked in. And now Micah Parsons' contract is kind of looming on the horizon. Of course, his rookie contract is coming to an end. So he's going to want his big payday. Is Jerry Jones going to be skimpy with that too? I don't think he will. Hopefully not. Otherwise, Parsons, he will find his way out. No problem. It does seem like Jerry Jones loves his guys that he drafts and the guys that he brings in, getting those deals done, but it's just actually improving the team from the outside. It seems like he has a problem with or something. I really don't know what goes on in the brain of Jerry Jones. But listen, as I met all this talent that I've been mentioning, those are the pillar guys. You can turn this boat around just next season. This season, it seems to be over. Get ready and build for the future. Get ready to build for next year and the year after that and potentially the year after that. You can still contend, Dallas. First and foremost, I think you should absolutely start Trey Lance. I think it's just a better risk and reward than Cooper Rush. Hey, if you win and you do great things, then Trey Lance boosts up his trade value. You can go on ahead and you can trade Trey Lance. Maybe you can get a third or a second round pick for him. Or you can hang on to him, keep him as a solid backup option for Dak Prescott. And if you lose with Trey Lance, well, hey, that's even better because then you can get a better draft pick. So I think that starting Trey Lance is just better. Starting Cooper Rush, listen, we've seen the peak Cooper Rush, and it's not the greatest thing in the world. There's just no reward with starting Cooper Rush except for a better draft pick. I would personally rather lose with Trey Lance than lose with Cooper Rush, just because Lance is the younger option. He probably has more trade value even today. Even if you were to lose with him, if he shows some flash, you will be able to trade him for something better than what you would get for Cooper Rush if that's the move. point blank period, you have to draft a receiver in the first round this offseason. You just need a second guy outside of CeeDee Lamb because defenses, they don't care about what you have out there. They don't care. I mean, respectfully, Jalen Tolbert, he's not moving anybody. And he's a talented guy. I am a fan of Jalen Tolbert, but he's not moving nobody. Jonathan Mingo, not that guy. Kevontae Turpin, not that guy. And then Brandon Cooks, he's on IR. So you need to do something. You need to do something to address that receiver spot. You need to build that depth. You need to help CeeDee Lamb out a little bit. You also need a running back. Again, this is a one-dimensional offense. You've got no run game. Rico Dowdle, he's cool and all. Not no running back one, it seems like. Ezekiel Elliott, what are we doing in the big 2024 having Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook getting snaps? I mean, it's a horrible, horrible situation here in Dallas. They think it's 2016 or something. Bill Belichick will be cool, but listen, if this team finds a way to bring in a Ben Johnson or a Bobby Slowick, an offensive mastermind, and keep up with all these other teams that have got these offensive gurus, okay, now we're talking, Dallas. Now we're talking. I don't think Jerry Jones is the guy to do that, unfortunately. I think he's has too big of an ego to pick up a talented guy. He would rather go for one of his buddies. Unfortunately, I think it's a horrible thing. I think that for the sake of the team, for the sake of the fans, your players, everybody that is funding into this franchise, they deserve to win. They deserve to contend for a Lombardi. Go out and get a Ben Johnson or a Bobby Slowick or any of the other talented OCs out there. I also think that Brian Flores, if you want to go more defensive minded, Brian Flores has done great things in Minnesota. He could be a really good choice as well. That is saying if Bill Belichick doesn't choose to come here. Bill Belichick is probably the number one option. Number two, I think Slowick or Johnson would be really cool. And then Flores, any of those four coaches coming in, I think could really help this team. I am personally think that Johnson and Slowick would be really sick, though. I put down on my list here, no Jerry Jones. That's just not happening. And then let's look at the rest. So the rest of the games it's a tough rest of the schedule here for Dallas. Sitting 3-6. You've got the Houston Texans next up, battle in Texas. How fun. That's going to be an L. The Commanders, they're on fire. That's going to be an L. The Giants, maybe you pick up a win here. Potentially. The Giants, they could be hungry, though. They could steal that one. The Bengals are going to need this win. I feel like Bengals probably come out on top. The Panthers, hey, maybe Bryce Young's find his footing. But other than that, okay, sure. We'll say Dallas wins one game here. They beat the Panthers. Tampa, they're not beating. Philly, they're not beating. And Commanders, they have maybe one or two games where they're like probably a little favored. And that's it for the rest of the season. So it's going to be a long season for the Dallas Cowboys. If you're a fan out there of them, I'm very sorry that you had to sit through this video, but I also hope that there's some shared opinions here. And hey, let me know down in the comments if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, what you think the Cowboys should do, or if you think that they're great and dandy and everybody else is overreacting and I'm psycho and I don't know what I'm talking about, because that could very well be the case. Let me know that too. Let me know. Go ahead and while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe to tune into my next rant or whatever else I want to talk about. And also check out the description below where all my other social media links are, to where, again, I talk about a whole bunch of things. This is going to wrap up this video about the Dallas Cowboys. I just think that they needed to be ranted about because, boy, oh boy, this team is in a disaster. They are in a downhill spiral like never seen before. And yeah, so that's going to wrap up this video, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Run Amok. I am your host, Jamin Sakar. And to the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, if you watch this video, please put the shades up for the sake of your receiver's eyes. All right, folks. Peace out.